Hey everyone, welcome back to Folklore. We're at about the midpoint of Warcadia. We've seen most of what this place has to offer. Soldiers and war machines, burning wreckage everywhere, blocking some of the paths. So let's see what the people around here have to say. Well, he was in the war. I kind of figured that's why he went to a war afterlife, but could be just because he died suddenly. Hey, it's a rebel denizen giving us tutorials this time. And that means either destroy or thunder. Keep that in mind, because I didn't. I have no idea what he's talking about there. And that's about it. So I'll skip making progress for now and take the obvious dead end. If you're playing along at home, I highly recommend leaving Warcadia now, going to talk to Gargantua and doing a quest. You'll get a reward that will be very helpful. But having failed to do that, we get this crystal, which is just here to make sure I've got a thunder element attack. Fortunately, I do. So we'll be fighting a couple more Gaboy, nothing special yet. But if you're looking very carefully, you might see the next new folk we're going to be capturing. Otherwise, I'll just finish these guys off. I did actually do some additional research since the previous video. Gaboy can only be hurt by destroy elemental attacks. I tried every other element I've got, and nothing did anything to him except destroy. Not even water, which really surprised me. And it should be no surprise to anyone that they're immune to thunder as well. So this is Patriot, the one that I need to defeat 3 of with Gaboy to build it up. But more importantly, I need to build this one up because it's my new shield. Take a look at it here. Patriot has kind of a weakness in that it only blocks from frontal attacks. So whatever it is, it's got to hit Patriot before it hits Ellen. If she's attacked from behind, it does nothing. But it lasts as long as she's got the MC to keep it out, and it can block any number of hits, while Kilmulis will go down in 1. I can't hit those floating crystals yet because I don't have a thunder element attack that goes high enough. For those, I think I'm going to have to come back maybe in Chapter 3, probably Chapter 4. Hopefully there's nothing important in them. I was playing this without looking at a guide, so I'm still missing 2 picture book pages and the cloak for this realm. And it's another new folk! One of the worst folks in the game, I think. This is Warthog. I've been calling it Warthog in the thread, but it's spelled with an extra H and an O. And we have to capture it by beating it against the ground. Just a slight annoyance, to tell you the truth, but all these hawks are going to attack me as soon as I'm done. I'll use Warthog in a bit, but it's really, really bad. You gotta trust me on this. And even the invulnerability frames from catching a hawk don't quite get me out of the range of its bombing runs. This room is just annoying. Really, really annoying. And Warthog's not that bad to fight, although once he flies up like that, there's not a lot of ways to hurt him. I'll show one by the end of the chapter, but for now, I think Gaboy is about the only attack I've got that's going to do much to it. The good news is, as you might have been noticing when I use thunder attacks on particularly these machine-type enemies, the thunder attack will stun them for a bit. They'll get electrocuted, or electrified, or whatever you want to call it. Arcs of electricity all over their bodies, and they can't move until it wears off, which takes a really long time. And this is an obvious trap, but I want to spring it anyway. Well, at least I managed to dodge the initial charge. Whole bunch of these guys to deal with, yet again. But you generally want to take out all the folks in a room at least once. Sometimes you'll get some bonus stuff. And of course the last guy is a bullseye, so I'm going to take him down with Barrager and start building that up. Of course, we all know how slow Barrager is going to be if I use only that. And once again, we have an option to move forward, or a little dead-end room off to the side. Like I said, Warcadia, you don't even really have to visit half the rooms. But you do need to visit that first room where I got Gaboy, because you can't get into the other room where it appears, and you're going to need it to complete the chapter. So this looks like a big empty room, just one bullseye way over the far side, and some obvious mines in the center. And me being really slow to come up with a shield. I don't think bullseye really does all that much damage, so I'm going to set off the mines from a safe distance, or at least attempt to. I really don't know why I set that one off, but I think there went a solid half of my health in just 2 explosions. If anybody's paying more attention to this than me, feel free to call me an idiot. As it is, I'm just going to take this guy down, and now I gotta smash these green crystals. I could do it with Boobry, but I think now is a good time to pull out my DLC folk, Quasarilli. This one comes free with a DLC pack, and just sort of flies around for a bit and does some wind damage. Oh, the mines are back. Let's be smart about taking them out this time. Much better. So that appears to be it for this room. This is the point where everybody who knows more about the game than I do kind of points and laughs. There's nothing new or special in this room, and there's a lot of video to get through, so I'm just gonna speed up large portions of the second half of this chapter. Another Warthog has appeared at the top, but my karma list says I don't need to capture any right now. And this room is the mini-boss. I don't want to deal with it yet because I don't have the picture page which tells me how to fight it. I'm going to go back and see if I can find it. And of course get a health refill while I'm at it, because I was getting pretty low. Definitely don't want to go into this mini-boss with low health. Really don't want to go into this mini-boss with low health in the fairy cloak. I figured maybe in some strange way Warthog is supposed to be able to bring down these high-up crystals, but it doesn't fly high enough for that. It just flies in a straight line, drops 4 bombs, non-elemental, and then disappears. That's Warthog, and it's totally useless. I guess I could almost see purposes to it if you got a bunch of enemies just lined up in front of you, but you're assuming they're going to stay still, they're going to take an appreciable amount of damage from it, and you don't feel like using any of the other folks that actually do something useful against it. So, maybe it was the room where I first fought Gaboy. Maybe there was something I missed in there that gives me a picture book page. And now there's a Patriot here. And that seems to be all that's in the room. This looks promising. I was expecting a trap. Not disappointed to see one. And for my destroy element attack, I'm going to go back to my old pal Barghest. Barghest is going to become a lot more fun by the end of this chapter. And for some reason I always use Gaboy to fight Patriot. You can use destroy element attacks as well as thunder. Whatever you do, it's just easiest to hit him in the back, because he can guard attacks from the front. If his guard is down, you can hit him from the front just as easily. And once you've hit him enough times to shock him, he's totally helpless. Capture another one. I'm particularly interested in building up some of his karmas, because as a shield type, all of his karmas are going to go to reducing MC consumption. And Patriot is freaking expensive right now. I know we've been over the whole, MC recharges. Are you going to be rapid-firing attacks that much? The answer in some contexts is yes, you are. Particularly the enemies around here that are only vulnerable to things like the destroy element. If you're using, say, Barghest or Degasser, and then you gotta switch to Patriot, and then go back to attacking again, your MC is gonna run down very quickly. And Patriot, like I said before, the strength is that it can take any number of hits, but in addition to taking a large amount of MC to use in the first place, it still drains your MC while you keep it out. So, you've got a few seconds of usefulness sometimes. We're almost done here. Just kind of thought I'd point out the importance of many of the things that I'm doing here. So, I've defeated everything in the room and no new crystals. Still no page 4 of the picture book. But on second thought, it occurs to me, I've got at least one attack of every element. The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to have to experiment a bit to figure out which element's going to work. Also, I'm pretty sure that defeating these guys isn't going to give me anything new. And just to see what else I need to build up, 5 green ores. I can get green ores at this point. It's very annoying. The only folk I know of that drops green ores right now is Warthog. I don't want to have to fight a bunch of those. Especially when they tackle me just as I enter the room. Doesn't seem very fair to me, but eventually I get the hint and start blocking when I enter the room if I'm going to get run over. Just one more iteration of this room, one more giant set of hawks, a couple of warthogs. They do get easier to fight as you get used to them, and this is about when I discover that thunder is actually effective on non-machine folks. Like Hawks and Bullseyes. They get stunned in one hit. And I think it does about twice as much stun damage to them as non-elemental attacks do. And there's my first green ore. Only got to defeat enough Warthogs to get 4 more of them. Still, the room is a lot easier to clear when you start using Gaboy as your normal attack. If you're going through here and you're used to, say, having Puka on your square button, you might try sticking Gaboy on that button, just for the heck of it. And one more Bullseye for Barrager. Extra attack power, and I can't make it to the yellow dust. But that's alright, it was just a yellow dust. So okay, let's have a go at this mini-boss. It comes alive as it sees me, and starts firing cannonballs across the battlefield. It is Gargantua, and it is a huge pain to fight. That's probably its most damaging attack right there, is charging at you. And then it charges backwards and does almost as much damage. Fortunately, my first instinct was correct, and thunder damages it. But Gargantua's got a number of difficult attack patterns. If you're in front of it or behind it, obviously it can charge at you. If you stand to the side, it'll start shooting its machine guns at you. And they don't do a whole lot of damage, but they do enough to be dangerous. And, of course, there are the cannonballs. Those only hit in front of Gargantua, but they can hit from a long way away. Not very hard to dodge, but you really don't want to get hit right now. The only good part about this fight is, if you keep it occupied for long enough, it'll just kind of collapse for a while. I don't know whether that's supposed to represent running out of fuel or what, but you can see in this fight you're probably going to be pulling out Patriot pretty quickly and pretty often. So you need to keep your MC as topped up as you can. And I'm feeling very threatened at this point, so if this volley doesn't do it, I'm probably just going to retreat. Yeah, I don't feel like dying right now. So, back to the portal flower to rest up. Getting into as few confrontations along the way as possible. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't even need to go that far. I can just go into this little dead-end room with the life drops hidden in the wind crystals over there. As long as I'm careful not to take too many hits. You know you can see what's coming. Warthog doesn't go nearly far enough to hit that bullseye. Oh well, bullseye versus bullseye. That ought to work pretty well. I shoot at him, he shoots back at me, and then I can capture him, because I still need a bunch of bullseyes to build that one up. The sad part is, if I had activated all 3 mines, I would be in a much better position right now. Instead, I'm kind of confused as to why nothing is happening. See this structure over here? Looks potentially important. Nothing is happening. So here's the highlights of the rest of what I did for the hour that this video went on. I noticed I finally had enough yellow dust to build up to Gasser. And I only need to defeat a couple Patriots with Gaboy to build up one of its karmas, which is handy because Thunder is about the only effective attack I've got against many of the folks here. It's honestly easy enough to do, and there's a large life drop right here in this room when you defeat the first one. The odd thing is, after that initial time I came into this room, I never again saw that first formation with just Gaboy. It's always been that one Patriot, which leads to all the other things appearing. So, back for round 2 against Gargantua. At least I've got a bit more health this time, and a little better prepared for what's coming. Although I still haven't learned to get out from behind it after a charge. The back is usually the safest place, but only for a very, very loose definition of safe. I think, yeah, it even takes off charging backwards if it didn't just charge forwards. This is a battle that simply requires incredible patience. And it's a coincidence that it happened to collapse there just when I hit it with Barghest. The destroy element is also useful against Gargantua. Problem is, most of your destroy attacks are pretty slow, especially if you want to charge Barghest up a bit. Degasser also requires some charging, and it'll be pushed back by Gargantua's machine gun attack, so if you're hitting it from the side, usually you're not going to get a lot of time to charge up, unless it's using cannonballs. Then you can just kind of stand wherever you want, as long as you're not where the cannonballs are landing. The other problem is, all the destroy element attacks I've got right now are very expensive. And I think that's just kind of a trademark of the element. All the destroy element folks are pretty expensive. So whenever I've got a little MC to spare, I'll usually pull out Gaboy. Also, you gotta be careful not to do too much damage at once. As we'll see in the grinding video, defeating Gargantua without capturing it is a real threat early on. But I finally did it. And sadly, that was probably the smoothest fight against Gargantua I'm ever going to have. And guess what? It's another destroy element attack, but this one is at least different. It's got an interesting range to it. As you saw, it fires its cannonballs in sort of an arc. That'll be a pain most of the time, but very useful other times. And we finally move on to the final save point of the area. Yeah, what do you want to bet their help isn't going to be much help? Oh goody, fairy allies. And as usual, we can get some hints about the boss outside of the picture book. Well, it's a great hint for Keats, but Ellen doesn't have any fire element attacks. We don't know. We haven't done the Keats part of this chapter yet. Anyway, having made it to that save point, I did decide to go back and check on some other things that I missed. Like I said, I missed an important hint that this rebel denizen gave me. The ambush unit has a secret weapon. Might have helped if he told me what it was. But I went back and looked at my folk list again, and discovered that there was one spot that showed that I had met a folk, but I hadn't captured it yet. And once I remembered what that folk was, it was pretty obvious what I needed to do. There they are. They come out and lay the mines again once you blow them up. If you don't blow up all three, you'll never see an ambush. That's literally the folk's name, is Ambush. At least I can summon more bullseyes now. And there's the ambush again, coming out of their little fort over there, which I looked at before and just never did anything with. And once you've caught all of them, now we get picture book page 4. Which shows me using ambush to lay mines around Dreadnought, around Gargantua, before attacking it with Gaboy. Yeah, definitely not using mines against Dreadnought. No way. So, ambush, yet another destroy element folk, this one a soldier type. You just plops a mine down there, and if anything gets close enough to it, it'll explode. I should probably stop here and capture 8 more of them if I'm going to go use it against Gargantua. But I need to absorb some Gargantua ids. I'm at the end of the chapter. Why not go ahead and give it another try? See how fighting it the way the picture book tells me to do works out. There it is, waiting. watching, running me over. And here's the problem. Ambush very rarely has time to finish dropping its mine before Gargantua just runs right over it. And at least at this point, I don't think it does a whole lot of damage. Gargantua is particularly weak to Destroy Element, but Ambush is a very weak attack right now and very expensive. So the more I use it, the less opportunity I actually have to pull out Patriot when I'm getting shot at. And now it's collapsed. Maybe now I can plant a mine and actually do something, but nope, I don't have the MC to do it. I can barely keep up a good boy combo the whole time. I could see Ambush being useful if Gargantua moved a bit more predictably. I could put a mine somewhere where it's going to go and then wait for it to run over it. But at this point, it's managed to work its way into the canyon where I entered the room, and for some reason it seems to get wedged in there and never leaves. So I plant a couple more mines outside the canyon, just to try to lure it into them. It never moves again for the rest of the fight, so the mines are useless. If I'm going to get up that close and use a Destroy Element attack, why not just use Barghest? At least that provides me some protection against Gargantua's attacks. And then, of course, my health gets really low and I can't risk getting very close to it. So why not use a longer range Destroy Element attack? The downside is the Gargantua itself is not that long a range. The enemy version of it goes a lot farther than my version. But it's still good enough. I can hit it from a distance, do a bit of damage here and there. And I will eventually do enough damage to get it to the red. Gargantua versus Gargantua, not too bad a fight. Still not my recommended choice. But it got me a rank up. More HP is always a good thing. And I think it improves the speed at which you capture folks as well. Really hard to tell on that front. But anyway, that's the rest of the combat portion. All that's left is the no man's land I was told was between me and Dreadnought. So I'll see you guys next time for some quests.